So, you hear the word communism, and you probably think of old black and white videos of soldiers marching, or maybe your grandpa getting really worked up about politics at Thanksgiving dinner. But what does it actually mean? Let's break it down. Imagine a society where nobody owns big things privately. Not your toothbrush, but big things like factories, giant farms, and huge companies like Amazon or Google. Instead of Jeff Bezos owning a massive company, the government, representing all the people, owns it. The main idea, in theory, is to get rid of the massive gap between the super rich and everyone else. The goal is a classless society where everything is shared and everyone works for the common good. Now, a communist takeover sounds dramatic, like something out of a movie. In this hypothetical scenario, we're not talking about aliens or a sudden invasion. It would likely be a slow, gradual change, maybe starting with a huge economic crisis, where people lose faith in the current system. Imagine widespread protests, people demanding radical solutions because the old ways just aren't working anymore. A political party promising to fix everything by taking control of the economy could gain massive support. They might get elected promising a fairer world where the government guarantees everyone a job, a home, and health care. It's a powerful promise, especially when many people feel left behind. This shift wouldn't happen overnight. First, the new government would have to rewrite the rules. The Constitution, big changes would be needed, especially the parts about private property. They would start with nationalization, and that's a fancy word for the government taking ownership of major industries. Think about it, the banks, the energy companies, the internet providers, all suddenly run by government committees instead of CEOs. The stock market would probably just stop. The idea of buying a piece of a company and watching its value go up or down would become a thing of the past because the public would own all of it. For the average person, the initial signs might seem confusing. Your local McDonald's might still be there, but now it's People's Burger Joint number 42. The branding changes. But more importantly, the person who used to own the franchise is now just a manager, an employee of the state, just like everyone else flipping the burgers. The profit from your meal doesn't go to a shareholder, it goes into a big government pot to be redistributed. Now, this is the core principle in action. Private wealth generation is replaced by collective ownership. It's a fundamental rewiring of the American dream, moving from individual success to group stability. So, what happens to your job in this new America? Well, for one, you'd almost certainly have one. Under a communist system, the government's goal is full employment. Everyone who can work is expected to work. You wouldn't be sending out resumes on LinkedIn and hoping for a callback. Instead, a central planning agency would look at the country's needs and assign you a job. Are you good with numbers? You might be sent to work in the accounting department for the state-run grocery distribution center. Did you study engineering? You could be assigned to a team building new public transportation infrastructure. The freedom to choose your career path would be significantly limited. Your salary would also look very different. The giant pay gaps we see today would disappear. A doctor and a janitor would earn much closer salaries than they do now. The idea is that every job is valuable to society, so compensation should be more equal. This would be a massive change. Imagine the CEO of a tech company going from making millions a year to earning a salary similar to the person who cleans their office. There would be no more stock options, no bonuses, and no getting rich by inventing the next big app. Your pay would be determined by the state based on your job's perceived value to the collective, not by market demand or how well you negotiate. But what about the entrepreneurs, the dreamers who want to start their own business? That's where things get tricky. In a true communist system, private enterprise is basically eliminated. You wouldn't be able to open your own coffee shop or start a software company from your garage. Why? Because that would mean you are accumulating private wealth and employing people for your own profit, which goes against the core idea of communism. Instead, if you have a great idea, you would propose it to a government committee. If they approve it, the state would fund and manage the project, and you would become its lead employee, not its owner. This system has its pros and cons, right? On one hand, you have job security. You're not going to get laid off because the company needs to cut costs to please shareholders. Your basic needs are met. On the other hand, what's the motivation to work harder or innovate? If you can't earn more by being exceptional at your job or by coming up with a brilliant idea, some people might just do the bare minimum. This is one of the biggest criticisms of communism in practice. Without the incentive of personal gain, productivity and innovation can often decline, leading to shortages and a lower quality of goods and services for everyone. Let's talk about where you live. The housing market as we know it would cease to exist. No more Zillow surfing for your dream house, no more bidding wars, and no more landlords. All housing would be owned by the state. You would apply to a government housing authority, and they would assign you a place to live based on your family's size and your job's location. The goal would be to provide adequate housing for everyone, eliminating homelessness. You might be assigned an apartment in a large, uniform building that looks a lot like the one next to it. The idea of a unique house with a white picket fence would become a relic of a past era. The upside is that you wouldn't have a mortgage or worry about rent skyrocketing. Housing would be a basic right provided for a nominal fee or even for free. However, you'd lose all control over where you live and what your home looks like. Want to move to a sunnier state? You'd have to get government approval, which would likely depend on whether there's a job for you there. Want to knock down a wall to create an open-plan kitchen? Not a chance. Since you don't own the property, you can't make any major changes to it. Your home would be functional, but it wouldn't truly be yours. Schools would also undergo a massive transformation. Private schools would be abolished, and all education would be public and standardized. The curriculum would be centrally designed by the government to promote collective values and the principles of communism. History lessons would be retold to emphasize the struggles of the working class and the failures of capitalism. The focus would be on creating good, productive citizens who are loyal to the state. Everyone would receive the same level of education, which could close the gap between wealthy and poor school districts. But it would also mean less choice for parents and students. And for young people, this would mean their entire educational journey is mapped out for them. From an early age, their skills and aptitudes would be assessed, and their education would be geared toward filling a specific role in the planned economy. If the state determines it needs more engineers, the curriculum might heavily push science and math. Artistic or philosophical pursuits might be de-emphasized if they aren't seen as contributing directly to the state's economic goals. The idea of a liberal arts education where you study something just for the love of it might become a luxury the system can't afford. When you look at all these changes, it's easy to see why people would have very strong feelings. For someone working 3 jobs just to pay rent and who can't afford to see a doctor, the promise of a guaranteed job, home, and health care might sound like a paradise. The idea of taking the immense wealth from the top 1% and using it to lift everyone up is incredibly appealing to those who feel crushed by the current system. They might see the loss of individual choice as a small price to pay for security and equality. They would finally feel like the system is working for them, not against them. On the flip side, for someone who values freedom, individuality, and the dream of building something for themselves, the scenario would feel like a nightmare. The loss of the ability to choose your own path, to own your own home, to speak your mind without fear of government disapproval, these are freedoms that many people hold sacred. An artist, a writer, or an entrepreneur might feel completely stifled in a system that prioritizes the collective over the individual. They would argue that while the goal of equality is noble, the cost in human freedom and creativity is far too high. This group would likely resist, leading to significant social tension. Ultimately, a communist takeover of America would represent a trade-off. It would trade the dynamic, often chaotic and unequal system of capitalism for a system that promises stability and equality at the cost of personal liberty and individual aspiration. The American dream of rising from rags to riches would be replaced with the American guarantee of never being truly in rags, but also never having the chance to get rich. The society would become more level, but also, many would argue, more monotonous and less vibrant. There would be no more billionaires, but perhaps also no more groundbreaking innovators driven by personal ambition. In summary, imagining a communist America is a powerful thought experiment. It forces us to ask what we truly value. Is it the safety of the collective or the freedom of the individual? Is it the guarantee of basic needs for all, or the opportunity for unlimited success for some? And the scenario highlights the deep-seated tensions between equality and liberty. While the system would, in theory, eliminate poverty and economic anxiety, it would do so by fundamentally changing what it means to be an individual in society. The friendly, simple idea of sharing everything becomes incredibly complex and controversial when applied to a nation of 330 million people.